Oh yeah!
What was it that Mama used to always say?
Clean your room!
No, that's not it.
Stop dancing in front of the mirror!
That's more accurate. But for children who weren't dancing in front of the mirror when they were supposed to be taking a bath, most mothers would say, all things in moderation. You see, I'm kind of a classic, have a big idea and then go all in kind of guy. And that's great until you bite off more than you can chew. That's kind of what happened with the original first run, let's call it season 1, of GilderCam. Loved the idea of doing more of a vlog type video because it's just different than a tutorial or a podcast or whatever else I'd been doing. And it was super fun, but I made the mistake of doing it daily. And there's nothing wrong with daily, I just couldn't keep it up. Between the time it takes to shoot these, which is surprisingly more than I expected, and then the time it takes to edit them, which was way more time than I expected, I was spending several hours a day on this. And it was fun and it was exciting, but I realized it wasn't sustainable. So who knows, maybe in the future I'll be able to hire a video editor and do these more regularly. But for now, GilderCam is gonna come back as a weekly feature here on the channel. In today's episode, you're gonna find out what's the deal with all these boxes. But first, I gotta run an errand and go work out. Yeah! That building right back there, that's where Pam and I found out we were having twins. 20 weeks pregnant. We went in just to find out boy or girl, and there were 2 heads in there. Time to fill with light, drawn from Emmanuel's veins. Well, they didn't have the thing I actually went in for, so plan B. Beneath that flood, lose all their guilty stains. Lose all. Oh yeah, I still do the workouts. Lose all their guilty stains. Got what I needed. Mission part B accomplished. Now, head home. So the question of the day, what's with all the boxes? You may have seen, I posted on Facebook a picture of the Sweetwater tracking system and it said I had 18 packages out for delivery. That's a lot of packages. And you probably can't even see it all from here, but I'll show you some footage of what all the boxes are. You may remember several episodes back, I had coffee with a guy named Eric Ashley, and we talked briefly about he's starting a new church called a church plant, and how I'm gonna be joining him. My family and several families from our existing church, which is a pretty big church, are gonna be joining him to start a new, smaller church in a neighborhood in Nashville. Sometimes when I say church plant, people say, what's a church plant? It's really just a new church. So any church that exists had to start at some point, usually by a small group of people, a lot of times who broke off from a bigger church to start a smaller one. And the whole idea is just a smaller community, another place for a small group of people to get to know each other, to love each other, and to come together once a week and worship and all that stuff. What's pretty common with most church plants is they meet in a temporary facility, such as a school or some sort of event facility, a theater, where they kind of move in every Sunday, set up their stuff, have a service, and then move everything out. That's going to be the case with us. We will be meeting in an elementary school cafetorium as they call it. It's a cafeteria with a stage, and we will have to come in and set up the PA system and everything else every Sunday and then tear it back down. Since I'm gonna be in charge of the music, I'll be leading the music most Sundays, and I'm kind of overseeing that whole aspect of the church. I was in charge of putting together the PA system. So I put it together, ordered it from Sweetwater, Got it all in boxes here, somewhat put together, and tonight we'll be heading over to the school. We've got the evening to kind of move our stuff in, set it all up, and see if it's all working, because we have our first service in about 2 weeks. Well, it's like a test run service, and then we'll start having services every week in January. But this is kind of a big deal to see if everything we've planned to this point works, and then we'll have several weeks to work out any of the kinks before kind of the grand opening. So this is kind of a soft opening, and then there'll be the grand opening in like a month and a half. I guess it's more like 2 months. So I bought everything from mics, cables, speakers, the mixer system, wireless, lots of cables, DI boxes, and all the stuff that we need, and came up with a pretty sweet system. So I'll show you what the system is. I'll keep it brief, but first I've got to get the system put together. So I'll be back. So I got the order almost right from Sweetwater, but I forgot to order this, which is what I went and found today on my secret mission. This is simply a rack mount kit for Sennheiser wireless system. We're doing 2 channels of wireless, 1 headset, 1 handheld, and I couldn't get them into the rack because I needed the rack kit. So I gotta get this attached to these and see if I can get them into the rack and ready to go. Wish me luck. When to become one. When to become one. We have special guests. Can you say hi, girls?
Hi. Hi.
Okay, Maggie. This is Maggie. This is Lila. Maggie, what happened to you?
I got a broken leg.
You got a broken leg? There was a trampoline incident, and you've been a big trooper, huh?
Yes.
Yes. Can you say hi to all the GilderCam folks?
Hi.
Say hi, GilderCam people.
Hi.
Can you say GilderCam?
GilderCam.
Can you say GilderCam?
GilderCam. GilderCam.
Y'all are crazy. It's been a long afternoon. As you can see here, there's an iPad, a projector, an Apple TV, an Apple router, my phone. It takes a lot of technology to make this work. The minivan is loaded up. I ran out of time. I was gonna show you the system. I'll just show you when we get it set up at the place, but this van is packed to the gills with boxes and stuff. Now I'm gonna drive across town, unload it, set it up. The dying thief, rejoice to see that fountain in his day. And there may I, though vile as he, wash all my sins. Okay, I gotta get back in the swing of this GilderCam thing, because last night we got to the school, we unloaded the car, we started setting things up, and it was just madness. I did get a quick time lapse of kind of the setup process as it was happening. Maybe you can see a little bit of what's going on, but it was so crazy that by the end of the night I was getting in my car and realized I hadn't really shot any footage to share with you. My apologies. You'll probably see some footage in future episodes. But I wanted to take a moment this morning after kind of going through and processing everything to show you what the setup is and kind of talk through that, because it's interesting for us home studio folks, because it kind of bridges the gap between the home studio world and the live sound world in a way that's kind of neat. So the name of the game here is portability. Everything has to be set up every Sunday and then torn down. In the name of keeping it simple and quick and easy, I decided to go with a rack mount mixer solution, all contained in a road case. So that eliminates the need for a snake, it eliminates the need for having a bunch of extra cables. We can just plug the microphones directly into the rack, which is in the system. The speakers are plugged into that, and everything runs off of this central heart of the PA system without having to run snakes and everything else. Really, really fun idea. What I chose for that is the PreSonus Studio Live R24 rack mount mixer. Now, as you know, I've got the PreSonus Series 3 Studio Live 24 in my studio, the actual mixer version with faders. They just came out with a rack mount version of this. So it's literally, you'll see it in the video, there's just a 2-space rack with a bunch of XLR inputs, and it's got a bunch of outputs on the back, and that's it. What I do is when we're setting up, I use this. This is an Apple Airport Extreme router, the funniest, dorkiest looking router you'll ever see. And that sets up a wireless network. Then out of the back of this, I run an Ethernet cable out of the back of that into the back of the Rack Mount Studio Live. From there, everything is controlled from one of these things, an iPad. It's trippy to not have faders to control, but it works really well. So the sound guy, who's Ryan, you'll see Ryan in future episodes. Ryan assisted on that tracking session that we did for my 3rd EP of the year. Ryan is going to be running sound. So he'll be walking around with this. You got faders, you got your fat channel, you can even like set up to use like an 1176 with my voice, like crazy stuff like that. But he can walk around the room and control everything from this, and it works really, really well. We got to test it out a little bit. We'll see it more in full swing once we have musicians set up and things like that. So to review, let's do a very, very simple setup. Vocal and guitar. Vocal mic plugs into the front of the rack. Guitar plugs into a DI box, plugs into the front of the rack. The back of the rack has a pair of XLR main outputs. Those are running to a pair of QSC K10 speakers. They're on poles, they're shooting the room, and then I'll have another one of those K10s on the floor as a monitor wedge that we will run out of one of the auxiliary outputs on the back of the mixer. That's it. All we have to do, I can set the preamp level here, I can set up EQ compression settings, I can set the levels, we can run, we've got 2 wireless for the headset mic for the pastor and then a handheld mic for announcements and things like that. That's all in the rack and ready to go and feeding 2 more channels on the board. And literally he can walk the room and listen from wherever. He can sit in a seat and just mix he can do whatever he wants, but he doesn't have to be in a central location, which is super, super cool. It is a beautiful fall day. I love me some fall. That wraps up this episode of GilderCam. It's a little rusty. Give me a little bit to get back in the swing of things. Hopefully this was still entertaining, educational, and fun for you. One thing I forgot to mention about that Studio Live, it is capable of multi-track recording everything. So if we want to record our services, if we want to record just the sermons, if we want to record the entire band and put together a live worship record one day, we can do all that because it just multi-tracks. I can just plug my laptop in and multi-track the whole thing just like I would at a studio session here in my studio. It also lets you put in an SD card in the front and you can just record everything to that. So I haven't explored that yet. There's lots to explore, lots to do. Slightly overwhelmed, but mostly excited about the possibilities. It's gonna be super fun. Oh, by the way, there's one more secret thing I'm gonna show you before I close out the episode. Whee!
Wash all my sins away.
Dun, dun, dun! What? That's right. Gilders are moving again, because we're crazy. We're staying in Nashville, but there'll be a new studio to set up. I'll tell you more about it later. See ya.
Wash all